kind of function because she can see shadows and she can see light. Yeah. But the doctor said, look, this is really hopeless and it will not last long, and then it's total darkness. And she's so afraid of that. But she tells me, when I tell somebody that I'm so afraid of that, who is born blind, they say, what's the big deal? What are you afraid of? Because they're used to it. So she has to think about this again and again and again and again. Because I said, look, I started to know you when you still saw, not good, but you could still see. Now you cannot read, you can hardly see, but you're still functioning. If then, when you were still be able to see, if then you would have thought how you would be now, you would have freaked out. But no, look, you function quite well. Now is this, seeing a little bit is fantastic, as opposed to not seeing anything. Yeah, so she'll manage, she will cope, but at the moment a lot of tears, a lot of panic, a lot of fear. And I understand, because since now she can still live alone, but then she won't be able to live alone anymore. Is that okay with where the karmic imprints get stored? On the very subtle mind. So we have a gross mind, the so-called mind that is awake for us, that needs objects and senses and the contact, and then it figures it out, and so on, in order to have experiences. Then we have a more subtle mind, which is the dreaming mind, where we always also have experiences, emotions and thoughts and images and the whole story. But it's more subtle. It's a mind who doesn't need outside objects and doesn't need the senses, but still goes along as if it's real. Like a memory of an event and dreaming of an event is totally different. The memory we know is not real, even though emotions can come up, but it's not. We know it's not real. In the dream, we think it's real, and then we really go along with it. Yeah. So that's a more subtle mind. And then there's the most subtle mind, which is just the clear light, like the nature of the mind, which is clear light. And on that, like these imprints get stored. So if you would be Chitta Matra, it would be very easy, because you have a special consciousness for that. The Geluks, unfortunately, they don't. What to do? Because it's difficult to explain, because we try to make everything very solid so that we can understand with our very gross mind. But this is a very subtle thing. So these potentials, which are not matter, they're stored on that consciousness, and then it goes to the next life with the subtle mind, and then it comes out again, takes on a body, connects with the senses, has experiences, and so it goes on and on and on. So because this would be that question here, karma, free will, and pratyasamutpada, mutually causality, is dependent arising, it's the 12 links. I feel that the three are connected, but not sure how. May you comment on it, explain the interrelation. You remember the second link on the 12 links?
Activities. Activities.
Action, or volition, sometimes called action. It's a potter who is making pots. The first one is ignorance, or wrong views. But there they use ignorance and explaining two types of ignorance. One, ignorance, not knowing the law of cause and effect, and the second kind of ignorance, not knowing the nature of reality. So by not knowing the law of cause and effect, you create negative actions, which makes you be reborn in the lower state. Not knowing the nature of phenomena and of self, you create also positive actions, which still keeps you in samsara. Yeah. So on this dependent arising on this link, this is where the second link is karma. And then comes, at the time of death, craving and grasping. Yeah. So, and it explains how come we have attachment. Because we, like you, maybe, first time you eat chocolate, and then there's not such a big wow thing, yeah? And, but then, because you have made contact with the chocolate, and then in another life, you see the chocolate, and then by making contact with the chocolate, the pleasant feeling already comes up, and then the attachment is created, and then you reach out, and then it becomes stronger and stronger and stronger. Yeah. So it's a very nice story. A friend of mine, she had a very, already 20 years ago, maybe 30 years ago, totally vegan for the kid. No chocolate, no this, no that. So then she was maybe 3 years old, the little one, and they went to a birthday party, and then there was a chocolate cake standing there. She had never seen, smelled, or tasted the chocolate cake. She runs to that cake, digs both her hands in it, and goes, wow! Subtle memory of chocolate cake. That was quite striking. It's quite amazing. Yeah. So like this. So this is how they are connected. Yeah. And karma also, it doesn't stand by itself. It is all interlinked, because to the first of these links of ignorance, like a blind man, and then the third one, which is called consciousness, and then because of that, then we have, name and form, and six senses, contact, feeling, and until there, everything is okay. But then with the feeling, because we get attached to the pleasant ones, and we don't want the unpleasant ones, comes craving for the pleasant ones, one pushing away the unpleasant ones, craving, grasping, existence, birth, old age and death, and then it starts again. So this is how it is related. Reincarnation is a tempting notion for me because I'm afraid of the finality of death. Is that a good motivation? Something I can work with it? Yeah, it's an interesting question. It's good to ask yourself, okay, if you do not believe that something continues, why are you afraid? Or what are you afraid? Because if nothing continues, nobody will be there to see that finality, or to see that nothingness, or to see that emptiness. So if you are afraid that at the time of death there is nothing, or after death there is nothing, then it doesn't fit. Your view of everything stops. And many people have that. Many people have that they say, I don't believe in rebirth, yet I'm afraid of death because what comes after, and it will be just a nothingness and an emptiness. It's not logic. It's not logic. So maybe it's the mind who remembers that something continues, I don't know. Is it a good motivation to think that is a kind of, to think that there is reincarnation, something goes on? It should, this whole thing that something goes on, it should give us the courage to practice and to protect the mind from negative states of mind, to put effort into this whole thing. Yeah? To prepare for next life. Because, in Buddhism, one is quite strict and says, your spiritual practice, if it's only for this life, it's not even spiritual practice. It's quite. Well, they also stopped saying that, the lamas now, because they say we can't take this. Then we stop altogether. So, but actually, it becomes spiritual practice when you consider death and you think about your next life. Just about this life, then also, just for this life. They made research with this, the mindfulness meditation is very, very popular, but they really, by now they found out, just mindfulness is not making you a better person. It just makes you more concentrated, and it can actually make you even more clever in how to achieve your own goals without thinking about others or whatever. Yeah, so this is why it goes together. Compassion and wisdom should always go together. Not just for myself, but also for the sake of others. Why is there no talking about bad conscience? Or maybe bad conscience? I don't know. You mean a bad feeling about ourselves? That we feel guilty? Do you mean that? Whoever? Yeah? The guilt. Yeah, we come to that now because we are doing purification. Yeah, there is no such thing about bad conscience in the text, because they don't have one. The same way I eat chips, I have a headache, I don't feel guilty. I know I'm stupid, but I don't feel guilty. I know that my attachment is bigger than my wisdom. And that's it. And I enjoy the chips, even knowing that I will, or suspecting that I will have a headache. This morning when I woke up, absolutely no surprise. Why do I have a headache? I just went like, uh-oh. Yeah, I know it. So then, this is why I don't need to feel guilty. I need wisdom in order to stop eating these chips. Yeah? But don't try to tell me, don't eat chips, you get a headache when I'm ordering chips. Just leave me, I will discover it. I make my own mistakes. Don't lecture me. I know that I'll get a headache, so it's my own responsibility. I myself feel very badly after doing something wrong if I notice it. Is it a way of punishing myself? It's a way of ego too big. Ego too big that we think we're perfect. When we know, I'm especially bad and all this. And also it's a kind of perverse way of making up for the negative action. By thinking, look, and again, it's not here, it's down here. I feel bad, that's good enough. This is my punishment. We give that punishment to ourselves, so we don't need to make amendments. It's good enough, I feel bad about it. Okay, but that's not, when we do purification, it's not enough. So this is why you need 4 factors when you purify. And we'll do that now. Sometimes in samsara we see someone suffering and we're suffering because of that. We can't help this, we already had. Yeah, you see, not even the Buddha can help people so that they don't have to do it themselves. An awakened being can only be a good example, can be an inspiration, can give instruction. That's all. Then we have to do it ourselves. So who do we think we are? We're unenlightened and think we can help others. But again, don't take it to the extreme by saying, okay, then I'm not doing anything. Yeah? But before you help, check your motivation. Would be a good thing. Why am I doing this? Yeah? Do I do this in order to feel good? It's okay. It's okay to do things in order to feel good, but then be grateful for to the person that needs your help, because they make you feel good instead of being the great savior of everybody. Do you see what I mean? Anytime you can do, somebody allows you to do a positive action, you should actually say thank you, because they become the cause for your enlightenment. And then arrogance, that's it, is kind of out of the window. And then also in order not to become arrogant. You see the good thing about suffering and about negative emotions, they say, at least you don't become arrogant. You become very humble. And it's much better to be humble than a very good person and being very arrogant, because you're so wonderful. Yeah? So like this, and then also Rinpoche Tulku with this the quote about giving up, even if you have given up hope and fears, but you still have friends and enemies, and you think you can attain enlightenment because you've given up hope and fears, but you still have to cater your friends and enemies. It is like wanting to straighten a tree which has grown crooked, like the old olive trees. Do you think you can make them straight? No way. So if you still in your mind have friends and enemies, these I like, these I dislike, but you're so proud because you've given up hope and fears, you can forget about enlightenment. So that is the thing, that to see everybody as equally deserving happiness and not needing to suffer like this. Okay? Okay, I think that's all here. Good, thank you for the questions. They were very good. So we don't need to sit and just have a bad conscience, because otherwise we are like, as Alex Burson says, otherwise we are like somebody who makes caca and then is just looking at the mess and saying, oh, look what I did, man, I'm so bad, you know, and it stinks so much, and this is horrible. You flush the toilet. And then okay, you go and then you do caca. But whatever we create, we can flush it down. But for that we need certain mental factors, and there are 4 of them. So the first one is regret. repentance, they sometimes call it, but not guilt. So the difference between guilt and regret is guilt blocks us. Guilt is just staying in the past, rehashing that action again and again and again and again, feeling worse and worse and worse. Why did I do this? Thich Nhat Hanh says, feeling guilty is like sitting here and hoping for a better past. I wish it wouldn't have happened. Well, it has happened. Yeah, and again, you can calm yourself down. You are not perfect. I am not perfect. You are not perfect. It's okay. We are on the path to become perfect. That's, for the moment, I would say, already a big thing. So then, if you do have a lot of guilt and you feel low about yourself, you need to do what we did. Why did we do that yesterday evening or this morning? Maybe this morning. You just sit down and say, I'm a good person. I'm a good person. I'm a good person. I'm a good person. Really. It is so powerful. Because then all this other gunk is going, which is totally not true. Or if you feel that you're a really bad person, you go around and you ask people. And then if you find, out of 100, if you find 10 who say, yes, you're really bad, okay, maybe then you can believe it. But don't forget, it's 10 out of 100. And if you don't find anybody, what are you going to do then? They're all wrong. I am bad. Yeah? So we need, the same way as you encourage your children when they make a mistake. Instead of yelling and screaming at them, you just say, okay, you made a mistake. It's good to say, this is a mistake, this is not a good thing. But then also don't go on and on and on and on about it. Just continue. Yeah? So regret is a mind that understands what I did is not skillful. But eating chips and fried cauliflower at the same time is definitely not skillful. This is what I had yesterday. I didn't know that the cauliflower was also fried when I ordered it. Now I know if in this country when it says crispy, it means it's deep fried. I didn't know that. Okay. So it's a mind who knows that this is not skillful and then goes, what can I do now? So in my case, again, what shall I do? If I don't want the headache, stop eating chips and fried cauliflower at the same time. Eat only chips, maybe, then it will be not so bad, not so severe. Yeah? Making amendments, doing something about it. Yeah? So that's another factor by doing purification. We need to do something about it. If we harm somebody else, we owe them something. And this is why this saying here, it's translated from the German, and the German is much better, because here it says Guilt, and German means Schuld. I read the quote in German, because Schuld means a debt also. It doesn't really just mean guilt. Yeah, it can mean both, but it also means debt. So when you harm somebody, you have a debt towards that person. You owe them something. So just going and saying, oh, I'm really sorry, please forgive me, that's not enough. It's already a good thing if you really mean it, but please forgive me, let them make the decision if they want to forgive you or not. If they should forgive you, it should be for their sake and not for your sake. And this is Yom Kippur. We'll talk about that Yom Kippur, how to give ourselves and others. So we'll do a lot of things. We'll do a lot of practical things this year. Because that's something we need to learn. What is skillful forgiving? So you can, when you have a debt, how can you cancel the debt? Yeah. If I owe in bulk 20 euro, and I have a debt towards her, the only way we can be even again, I give it back to her. That's the only way. So the action in this case would be, for a Buddhist, reciting mantras, making offerings, making prostrations, reciting sutras, and the most powerful purification action is studying, thinking, contemplating about emptiness. That this I who did the action does not exist the way that it appears. The action itself does not exist the way that it appears, nor does the other. But if you do just that, without the teachings on emptiness around it, you go, oh, great, nothing exists. I can do whatever I want. So then you fall into nihilism, and then that's really dangerous. Yeah? But if you're, especially when your guilt is very strong and all this, then meditation on emptiness is very good. If your arrogance about your good actions is very strong also, I, the one who's doing the positive action, the gift I'm giving, the one who receives the gift, all three of them not existing the way that they appear, totally empty of real existence. Yeah, just the words sometimes can help us a little bit to let go. So, I don't know how it is with you with chanting mantras. I don't want to force you to do anything, but we will maybe chant the mantra of Shakyamuni Buddha this evening, because you see, our mind, who is so childish, needs something eternal so that we are being forgiven. So we take the Buddha. But actually we wouldn't need the Buddha if we would be wise, because it's our mind who's creating the karma, it's the mind who is purifying the karma, who can cancel it, but we don't believe it. Yeah, so if you believe that you can really, with regret, doing an action that counteracts what you did, so it can be anything, yeah, and then making a strong determination not to do the action again, if you really believe that it will cancel your negative actions and there's no more guilt, then yeah, you don't need the Buddha. But it's quite helpful to take the Buddha actually, because we grow up in a theistic kind of way, and it's very deep, this thing, there is somebody who will forgive and not forgive. Now the Buddha is not forgiving, but the Buddha has powers. He's not only potent, but he has powers. And the more power we give the Buddha, the more he can help us. Yeah? So like the blessings or the inspiration we receive from the Buddha, it doesn't come from the Buddha, it comes from our mind. Yeah? But if you have aversion towards these things, and you think that maybe you're doing something wrong because you're quite strong in your Jewish practice, and you think, oh, God is not going to be happy about this, then don't chant mantras. That's okay. That would be very unskillful to chant mantras, because then you would feel double guilty or whatever. Yeah? Then maybe say a prayer. Yeah? So if you want to say a prayer, then it would be, I recognize what I've done is wrong. I want to make up for it. So I give half of my money to the synagogue. No, Then I promise not to do the action again. And being sincere about this, that is purifying. So these are three branches. And in Buddhism, the fourth branch is the power of the support. So we take refuge. I take refuge, Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. And taking refuge means that you stop harming others voluntarily. Taking refuge means you start to trust the Buddha's teachings by studying it, by contemplating on it. Not just, yes, I believe, but by, as we said, by experiencing the whole thing. Yeah? You strengthen your trust. And then you also generate bodhicitta, meaning I want to purify my negative karma in order to benefit others and then to attain enlightenment and also lead them to enlightenment. That's the best way that you can make up to them. When you say, I will work on my own mind, so not only I'm more and more realized not to harm others, but on top of it, I can be of benefit to them. That's a very good way of making up for your negative action. Much better than giving you money and then, you get angry because you're left poor or something like that. You see the problem with doing these kind of so-called little bit worldly actions by being very generous, because that's what I did at one point, because as I told you, I stole money from my parents and then from my boss. where I was working. I wonder if you still want to listen to me. By the way, you know, wow, I'm really happy I made the Dharma, because all the things I did, the whole list of the 10 actions, everything is there. Adultery, I slept with married men, and stealing is, of course, lying is, of course, slandering is, of course, killing plenty of mosquitoes in the South Pacific. I was very good at catching them. I would wait until they were full of blood so I would be sure to catch them, because then they're very heavy and can't take off. You know, I tell you, when I heard about karma and the results, I spent a sleepless night. I thought I was sure to go to hell. I thought, that's it, you know, what's the point? Now what shall I do now? Maybe I should go out and have a good time and enjoy while this lasts, and then, yeah. And then the next day, it's only the next day, Kitty Rinpoche talked about purification. I tell you, I was ready to sign up for the 3-month course, which I did. I did a 3-month purification retreat. Because I thought I had the time, I had the money, I didn't have to go back, so I stayed and did that. So it was very skillful to let me not sleep that night. Yeah. Okay, so then I thought, okay, with all the stealing and all this, maybe I start to be very generous. But then soon enough, I noticed that I wanted the people to say thank you when I was very generous, you know? So it's like the same. If you buy something and you pay and you want them to be grateful to you that you give them the money for what you have taken, I mean, it's not logic, but this is what we think. We go to a shop and then they need to say thank you. You're the one who needs to say thank you, because maybe you need to think more what they sell than your money. No? Maybe they can survive without your money, but you cannot survive with what they sell if it's a supermarket. Yeah? So you see, this whole thing, we have it all wrong somehow. Yeah? But it's a convention, isn't it? The customer is the king or the queen. Is that also here in Israel? No. Yeah? No? Somebody said no. Huh? It's not like this? The customer doesn't feel like hey, you have to say thank you to me, you have to be kind to me, I'm coming to buy your products. Yeah. But the other way around, nowhere. Yeah. I mean, I remember when I was working in a sports shop and I had a really difficult customer, and I just went like, and then immediately said, I want to see your boss. Oh, I was very kind. All of a sudden, just with this threat, hey, you know, you're going to get, maybe you'll not lose your job, but you're going to get some scolding there. Then I was very kind. Because I went, you know, and couldn't make up her mind what she wanted to buy. Okay, so yes, you can do worldly things like being very kind, being very generous, being very honest or whatever, especially being very generous or helping others, going to volunteer. You can, but in order for it to purify, that it purifies your negative karma, you need to see it as a paying off the bill, so that the others don't need to say thank you because you have a debt. Do you see what I mean? Because otherwise you get arrogant about the whole thing, and then you miss the point there. Okay? Do you have questions about this? The 4 opponent powers, they are called. The power of regret. You need to see that, yes, I have done negative actions. And we actually make a blanket thing, you know, whatever I've done from now and in the past, that goes into the category of these 10 actions, I see this as not skillful. Just admitting, it is not skillful. No need to be destroyed, no need to have tears running down your face, no need to tear out your hair. Because we're trying to get away a little bit from this very emotional stuff. Because the more emotions, the more ego is involved. Yeah? Then, okay, what can I do about this? I take refuge. I trust the Buddha who says, if you do this and this and this, you can burn these potentials or these seeds so that they're not giving a result. And then Bodhicitta, why do you want to do this? because